This episode of the Block Pass is brought to you by Black Diamond Graphics. Nick Jackson is more than a graphics guy. He's a passion for the sport that is nearly unrivaled and offers support to countless riders in our region. Be sure to support the folks that keep our sport looking good and us riding good. Grigg Racing. Based out of Prior Lake, Minnesota, Tom Grigg is the primary mechanic for riders such as Zach Williams and Jackie Reese, and provides rider support for many countless others in our region. From engine builds, maintenance, suspension, you name it, this guy is one of the best kept secrets for anyone running KTM equipment. Racetech Suspension, the science of suspension. Their focus is not only suspension, they can be your source for precision engine builds, service, and parts. Be sure to check out racetech.com for all their services and a dealer near you.
Hey folks, this is Matt Williamson with HardlineMX, here bringing you the reboot of the Block Pass video blog. This episode, Out of the Rut, is a reboot of our original series that has been long awaited by many of our followers. So, I'm here in St. Louis. Just got back from Loretta Lynn's, stopping here for a week of work. We got a lot of stuff going on with my day job. For those that don't know, I work in data center facilities, so when I'm not at the track, I actually have a big boys job where I deal with maintenance contracts and vendors and all that fun stuff. So it's nice to get away from that and kind of dive into the world of moto when I'm away from work. So anyway, just got away from the life in Tennessee. Had a great time down there. Can't thank the Clough family, Geis family, McGrath, and so many other people enough for helping me out. We had a really good time down there. Had a nice place to stay, plenty of food, plenty of water to drink, and air conditioning to get away from the intense heat that's in Tennessee. I tell you, if you haven't done Loretta's, even as a spectator, I would say it's worth the trip. It's an experience that's really unlike anything else in moto. I would say it's even probably more fun than some of the pro nationals I've been to as a credentialed photographer that can be out on the track. So it's definitely worth the trip down. So interestingly, I'm staying in the Holiday Inn in St. Louis, which is really close to the Edwards Jones Dome, formerly known as Edward Jones Dome. Now it's known as the Dome at America Center. Supercross will be coming back to this location later this year. The beginning of next year for round 2, which is really quite odd to have an East Coast round so soon, but pretty interesting. So going forward, this for me myself, MXMatt, I'm going to be doing a lot less photos kind of going forward, and I want to get back into doing some kind of the race coverage and cover more of our sport away from the track, on the track, and kind of the lifestyles around it. So really want to cover more than just the track overall. So, kind of explore some of the day jobs and other hobbies that riders and family members of the sport do. So, looking for invites to go check out people's farms, maybe people's practice tracks, go see some other sports. One of the things I really enjoyed doing a few years ago, went down to Byron High School in southern Minnesota to shoot Ben Adamson doing wrestling, his last year of wrestling in high school. Went all the way to sections and did pretty well in the season for what I could see, and it was really fun to kind of get to see another sport and things people do away from the world of moto. So if you're part of like a hockey team, basketball, even rodeo, I mean, what keeps you in shape for moto and what motivates you and what keeps you going away from the track? We've got a lot of people that do things outside of moto that are excellent riders. And, how does that work? Some people do only training facilities year-round, where others, do moto casually and have great results. Anyway, coming back from Loretta's, had a great stop with the Clough family to SSR training facility. First and only time ever being there, and it's definitely someplace I want to go back to. So, hoping to do some training facility coverage going forward, and, check out other places that people ride besides just the district or the AMA sanctioned track. So keep a lookout for stuff like that. Anyway, let's dive into Loretta's. So Loretta Lynn's was the 34th annual Amateur National Motocross Championship this year. And as always, there were a fair amount of riders from my area, District 23, that attended. To be clear, I do live in District 23, but HardlineMX is not really officially sanctioned by, nor do we have any direct, relationship with District 23. So they help us out in the sense that they respect and appreciate our coverage, but we don't really have an official relationship. It's something I hope to work on going forward. But anyway, a lot of our coverage in the past and probably going forward will be a lot of District 23 riders, but we're also going to talk about people that were outside of our area. So starting off, going to go with my sponsor family. Was there with the Clough family, and Jayden Clough and James Clough, if you don't know, are from Minnesota and raced quite a bit at Millville in the past 3 years. This last summer, they spent most of the summer at SSR Training Facility in Indiana, with unfortunately James having suffered an injury that kind of set him back from a fair amount of the season from being able to ride. And though he did qualify for Loretta's, he did not race this year. So what I was able to do is actually get a chance to watch Jaden and kind of focus on what he was doing. He raced both of the Super Mini classes, so Super Mini 1 and 2 at the ranch, and had quite a good season, I'd say, or quite a good trip this year. As they say, it wasn't what he was hoping for, but he did have some pretty good personal wins. For one thing, he was able to lead Super Mini 2. Actually led it for 2 laps. And I believe it was moto number 2 when he had basically a really freak issue, mechanical issue with his bike. Those that have worked on and know the KTM 2-strokes, and I think some of the other motors this way are this way too, but there's basically a coolant bleed screw on top of the cylinder head. Something that, a lot of us overlook are bolts that we don't touch, and this is something, they don't use it, so it wasn't one of the things that they looked at. And it's one of those things. It's a mistake anybody can make, and unfortunately, it bit Jaden. As you can see in the footage, all of a sudden in the 10 Commandments, you see a decent plume of steam start to come out of his bike. He takes notice, continues into Storyland, and then kind of, decides to pull off. Him doing that saved the motor. He could have been like any other of the riders. A lot of the factory kids could have kept going until it blew up. It was early enough in the race that wouldn't have been a very good strategy, but a lot of times people don't think that. Jaden's pretty self-aware of that kind of stuff. One of the things that happens when you work on your own bikes, Jaden does do a lot of the work. He'll do top ends, he'll do change chains, change tires, a lot of the hard work that a lot of riders take for granted. And it was really cool to see a local kid leading a race, out in front of Vogeland and all those other guys, and looking pretty good. I mean, he got coverage on Racer X. He got covered by the Loretta Lynn's official Instagram, and it was great to see that he was getting some of the faster lap times. Not the fastest, but the top lap times on par with some of the top factory riders, and that's a really good confidence boost for him. Another rider I've been accused of, I'm always accused of having favorites, but I've been following and known the Geis family of Jordan, Minnesota for quite a while. Luke Geis has been trying to make it to the ranch for a few years now. I remember his first attempt at qualifying, his first area qualifier was at Tigerton, Wisconsin, but was just never able to quite put everything together to make it to the ranch. This year was a different story. He actually qualified for 2 classes. 125C as well as 450C. So, moto number 1 of 125C, his first gate drop, his first ever race, he gets the whole shot. He also leads the race for 4 laps before, obviously, tough competition kind of got the best of him. So besides the whole shot and getting the whole shot award, Luke Geis actually had a chance to talk on Podium. And for not really ever having done it at Loretta Lynn's, I thought he spoke really well. Let's take a listen to Luke Geis' podium speech at Loretta Lynn's.
$100 Bell Helmet Whole Shot Award. Put your hands together for Luke Geis. Wow, Luke. Luke, first and foremost, how old are you, buddy?
13.
13 years old, man. Wow, you really know how to ring out that 125. There's no doubt about it. Tell me how you ripped and gripped that whole start out there.
Yeah, I don't know. I got a good jump and shifted right and got it.
Just got it. And then, of course, you got that lead. Talk a little bit about how that race wore on for you, because they're about 2/3 of the way in. The pressure started getting stiff.
Yeah, they're fast, and I don't know. I made a lot of mistakes, so.
You ready for Moto 2 and 3?
Yeah.
Who do you want to say thanks to?
FXR, Dunlop, BDMX, Oakland Stars, Scott, Bell, and High Five Vectors.
There you go, ladies and gentlemen. He took the whole shot. Luke Geis picking up $100 from our good friends at Bell Helmets as we move into race now number 4, I believe it is, Megawatt. And wow,
he's put a lot of himself into racing this year, and it was great to see that it was paying off. He got some notoriety before he left from the Jordan paper, the town he lives in kind of like south central Minnesota, and I think he did them proud. Fastest lap time that he got of the entire week was in Moto 3 in 2:03, which, track conditions change. You can't always compare one class with another, but that time was right on par with a good amount of the pack in the 125C or 125cc BC class, which is actually a very competitive class. A lot of top riders have done that class that are pros now. So, him having speed that's kind of on par with that, granted different track conditions, you can't compare apples to apples there, still is quite good. Moving to a little bit of a different age group, this is the first time we saw, at least I have personally seen, Justin Kraft from Minnesota attend Loretta Lynn's. He came down, I think he said 11 years ago was the last time he was at Loretta's, and totally different arena at that point in time. This year, he competed in 25 plus and Open Pro Sport, so 2 very stacked classes. One thing you definitely hear all the time when you're on the track, especially at 25 plus and in some of the other age groups, is Mike Brown, and he was out on track with them. And looking at lap times, yes, he was behind Mike Brown, but he doesn't ride year round and have the factory connections that Mike does. So it was really great to see him put in the effort. And he says he wants to come back. He doesn't want to have another 11-year gap, and he wants to try to get to the top 3, I think, next year, hopefully. And he's one of those guys I think we can see do it. Basically, his finishes, he finished 6th overall in 25 plus, which is they call it 25 plus or junior, and he had a 8.66 finish against some pretty tough competitors that. A fair amount of them. There's a couple of people out of the country and California, and then Mike Brown, who, is a legend of his own. So, can he do it? I think so. The guy's seems to be in good shape. He has a great mindset for it, and great friends and great support. So, moving down, we got a rider that was originally from Minnesota, Pierce Knight. He's a native from Minnesota, at least younger years, that now lives in Texas with his family. Who raced in 250B and 450B Limited. So, finished 5th overall in 450B Limited with a 22nd, 2nd, and 3rd, which is actually a great accomplishment on its own. With Moto 2 having an awesome start, and he actually was leading that race, I want to say for 3 or 4, no, actually I think almost 5 laps, and passed up Yoder when Hunter Yoder made a mistake, and led the race, got some good coverage, I believe, on Racer TV, and spent some time on the podium. So let's stop here and listen to his podium speech after getting 2nd.
Here's Knight. First of all, what happened in Moto 1? This is obviously a nice improvement.
Well, I had a good start, and around the second turn, I took the front end, and everyone started running over me. Got behind the pack and charged as way as I can with no goggles, so this start in Moto helped a lot better.
How'd it feel getting to lead some laps here at Loretta's?
Really good. It brings my confidence up a lot. My endurance needs to be a little better, but overall good moto.
Yep. Who do you want to thank, Pierce?
First off, my mom and dad, my whole family, Lord Jesus Christ, for keeping me safe. Ellison Technologies, Quicks Moto, and Kyle Riegel, Yamaha, Yoshimura, Fox, Ellison, Some Star, and everybody else who helps me out. Thank you so much.
Pierce Knight, second place in 450B. And we'll bring Jace Kessler up, definitely a title contender. Got a moto win earlier.
So Moto 3 again saw Pierce Knight on the podium for 450B Limited, and he fought back from 6th place all the way up to 3, and had actually really good consistent lap times, and was closing on 2 of the riders. So I believe Hunter Yoder, one of them, for that race as well, and rode pretty solid. The kid, demonstrated that he's definitely got the endurance and is ready for longer motos, and he might have been able to pass up, maybe not have passed up to Yoder, but definitely was on par to catch up with Kessler, who is a Michigan rider that was one of the top riders of the world as well. So it was great to see Pierce put down the lap times and have the confidence, and spoke really good on Podium too. Please like, subscribe, and give us some feedback. Want to do some more coverage going forward, and appreciate everything that our HardlineMX followers have continued to do, as well as the followers I have on MXMatt. So thanks everyone. Take care.